Good evening from Tel Aviv. The news in Israel tonight is dominated by the story that Secretary of State John Kerry has convinced both the Israelis and the Palestinians to return to the negotiating table. The Palestinians, in the meantime, have delayed their response, but all observers believe that they will respond positively at this point, as long as they can climb down from their tree just a little bit. The basis of the agreement is that the United States, as opposed to the parties, will announce the basis for the talks. The United States will state that the talks will be based on the 67 boundaries with appropriate land swaps, and it will be based on the creation of two states, a Jewish state of Israel and an Arab state of Palestine. Thus, the two major issues that both sides refuse to state will be stated for them by the United States, and both sides will agree to return to the negotiating table. People are not optimistic here that negotiations will actually result in something, but we don't really know. The big question really is this the best of time for negotiation or the worst of time for negotiation? For those who believe it's the worst of time for negotiations, we look at the turmoil in the Arab world and say, look at all that turmoil. We will never know who will be governing our neighbors at any given time. How can we give up any sort of territory? How can we reach a peace agreement with people who may not be in power next week or next month? And that concern is very real. On the other hand, one can look at the current time as the best possible opportunity to reach a peace agreement. Hamas, Hezbollah have all been weakened in the past few weeks. Liberals throughout the Arab world are looking to reaching some sort of peace agreement, are looking to take the Palestinian question off the table so they can go ahead and try to build some version of liberal democracies in their countries. Can we align ourselves with these people, or can we not? Can we be totally stuck in this world where Muslim extremists pledge to destroy us? Or can we make good with the people who are looking to create new modern societies in the Middle East? It's a risk whatever we do. If we wait, we end up with a binational state eventually. If we take risks, who knows what could happen? So therefore, the direction forward is very unclear. One thing is clear, however, it's too easy to criticize. I was particularly upset this evening by a tweet by Jeremy Ben-Ami, the head of A Street. In that tweet he said, "We'll know if the talks are serious if Bennett stays in the government." Now, Bennett is the head of the Bayit HaYehudi, and actually tonight he threatened to leave the government, but then stepped back from it. He has stated in the past that he will agree to talks, but if the situation gets to the point where a negotiated agreement is reached, he will reserve the right to withdraw from the coalition and bring the coalition down if he can. Well, we'll have to see. We really don't know what's in the mind and what's in the heart of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Is he amongst the pessimists? Is he amongst the optimists? We have no idea. We have no idea what he really believes and what he really thinks. Only time will tell us at this point. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the fight continues between the pro-Morsi supporters, the Muslim Brotherhood, who are on the streets every single night. Thankfully, due to Ramadan, demonstrations only take place at night. But it's quite clear the Muslim Brotherhood is not giving in. Tonight they made the ridiculous suggestion that the European Union negotiate between the two sides for them. We'll see what happens. The Muslim Brotherhood will not give in, neither with the secularists, neither with the military. Time will tell. But in the meantime, the Egyptians are fighting with the jihadists in the Sinai. They are continuing to attack Egyptian troops. The jihadists were aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood, and the general Egyptian government is now blaming Hamas for supporting the jihadists and trying to help bring down the Egyptian government. They both claim that missiles that originated from Hamas were being tried to be smuggled into Egypt across Port Said and into the central part of Egypt, and they were caught in the last day or two. Then, of course, they're blaming the Turks, claiming that 10,000 handguns were found being tried to be smuggled into Egypt from Turkey. So right now, the situation continues to be tense. It's not quite clear where that's going to end. It's not quite clear how we bring peace to Egypt or who brings peace to Egypt. All I can tell you is that the one people who are unpopular consistently are the Americans. Finally, in Syria, we've also managed to get to the point where everyone despises us. After claiming we were going to support the rebels,
the liberal rebels,
we have now dawdled and have not sent any arms, including small arms, to them. Meanwhile, the British tonight announced the fact that they were no longer going to send arms to the rebels. So everyone is going to abandon them except the Saudis, the Qataris, who are probably supporting the Muslim Brotherhood people, or even worse, the jihadists in Syria. The liberals, well, they'll have to fend for themselves because the West is not willing to support them. Not a good situation, not a good outcome can be expected. This is Mark Schulman reporting from Tel Aviv. Good night.